Hi guys, welcome back to... Wait, I didn't tell you when to record, did I? Were you actually recording?
Yes.
Okay, good, fine. Actually, we should keep this in. Hi guys.
What?
Basic guys, look, I want you to know how we actually record this because it's actually like... okay,
it's
so
long.
what we do is we put our so you put, you know your phone headphones that you used to like make calls, we put them in, we put our recording headphones over it, and then we record into our separate like software, audio software, so it's long. So it was basically, I got to sit and wait for the intro to play out and then like, yes, record, and then yeah, so just letting you guys know. But yeah, we're back, All London Podcast, back again.
All London, back again.
Back again for our second episode of our second series. So
yes, and
yeah,
we like it.
Exactly,
we're
getting serious, guys. You know, we're getting more educational.
Although we started off the episode laughing,
yeah, we
but
did,
like
exactly.
it's about to take a swift U-turn.
Yeah.
It's about to take a swift U-turn.
No, definitely.
Because what we're talking about today is not funny.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to explain what we're going to be talking about today?
Yes, so today we thought we'd talk about sort of black mental health, which is a huge topic at the moment, and just mental health in the black community, sort of like maybe transition that into sort of more positive affirmations and things maybe that you can do to get yourself out of maybe like a mental funk, and hopefully we'll be able to sort of signpost a few things to you as well that maybe have helped us, or not maybe, that have helped us as well. Like, you know, I think it's, to start with, we'll just say that obviously we're not professionals. You know, we're just sort of giving our own experiences, but I feel like we've both, you know, seen a bit of life now. We've both been through quite a lot, both personally, professionally, and things like that. So I think that we're literally just giving our opinions and things that we've done. You know, I'll speak about my experience as well, you know, dealing with what I would probably consider as like sort of quite bad anxiety and things that I can, you know, that I've done. So yeah, just roll with us. You know, we definitely want to hear from you, hear about your experiences as well, and you know, we just want to make sure that we speak about it more. As you know, it's a big sort of light on that at the moment.
Definitely.
That was a big boy cough, you know.
Wait, no, don't worry, it wasn't recorded. I muted it.
Sorry, it's not funny. But yeah, no, I feel like, yeah, we just need to continue to shine light on it and also continue to work on ourselves. So yeah,
nice.
That's kind of what we'll talk about today. So to start with, I guess we'll say mental health.
Yeah,
such a big umbrella.
Big topic. And like the discussions on it, definitely. And I feel like the discussions on it have changed so much, especially like over the past couple of years, in terms of how seriously it's been taken. Because I don't feel like, definitely like growing up in school, like it wasn't taken seriously at all. And like whenever someone was like a little bit different, you'd be like, oh, why are they like this? Like, why can't they just be normal? Like it was just never taken seriously. So I'm just really grateful that the conversations are happening, and also it's like better to understand yourself, because we're having so many conversations, you've been like, you sort of pick up things about yourself. You're like, oh, this is the reason why I've been feeling like this way, and you're like, oh, okay, it makes sense. And it makes you feel so much more validated, and like I feel like that's what so many people need. And like just to feel
100%,
and it's also about not feeling ashamed about it as well. I think like there was so much stigma, negative stigma attached to mental health.
But let's talk about that actually, about sort of the negative stigma attached to it, because you know, I grew up in an African household, and it's like, what is mental health? Fam, mental health is nothing.
You just gotta pray in it. You just gotta pray. Like,
fam, pray. My mum was calling me all types of names, like, and it's not. I'm not saying this, you know, for her to like feel bad, or I'm not saying I don't, like, it's calm, like I don't feel a way about it, but I think it's the point is that there was no clear understanding on it, and therefore I was unable to communicate effectively like how I was feeling, and maybe obviously there was a lack of understanding there because we weren't talking about it.
Exactly.
Know? So it's just like crazy how different things would be if we were sort of to, you know, not stigmatize it as much and actually have those conversations. Like, you know, I feel like since I've been able to, you know, identify certain things within myself, you know, my relationships with my mum, for example, and things like that have actually been way more like positive.
That's good.
A lot better, you know.
That's really good.
So but we do need to start talking about it. And so mental health, as you said, is a big topic, and when we talk about mental health, it could be anything, literally, from feeling down, sad, depression, anxiety. These are just a few things, you know. And then you've got sort of the really, really severe, I mean, depression is obviously severe, but you know, different things like bipolar disorder, which is what we're seeing at the moment quite a lot in the news from certain people, and you know, that's been, you know, a big thing for a while. You know, you've got different things like you know, ADHD and like and different disorders like that, even, you know, and these all impact mental health. Definitely. You know, and really I think to start with, and I think someone Kendrick Sampson, who, that fine man, he from How to Get Over Murder and also from Insecure, he was saying about, he said something which I thought was interesting, which is that everyone deals with mental health. So no matter, you might think you're the happiest person in the world, and amazing if you are, like, please, like, if you are positive, that is great, but everyone deals with mental health, and I think that once we all understand that, it might be a bit easier to digest and maybe be a bit more accommodating of people, you know. Even
like things like just when you're getting tired from work, because there's, I don't know if you know, do you know burnout? It's not burnout syndrome, it's just called like burnout, which is basically like you're feeling depressed. So like, I think this happens in literally every single person. So it's just like what you were saying, everyone does experience it either indirectly or not. But yeah, burnout is basically like, let's say you've been working like consistently day in, day out, and then like you get to a point of the weekend, you're just tired and you just can't be bothered to do anything. That's like another sort of like mental health element. So you just burned out, like you don't have any motivation to do anything, you're feeling really low, you're feeling really like disconnected from like your friends and like the things that you enjoy doing, and that, I think that impacts like everyone, and especially now I think like mental health is so important now, because obviously we've been in this isolation for since March now. It's been like 5 months, and that it's been a long time. Absolutely. And like the way that you could go and decompress from like maybe burn out from work, you can't really do that now. You can't go out and have, well, people are doing it anyway, but you can't really go out and have drinks with your friends technically. No. You can't go out and like technically, people do, you can't go out and like, you know, just go party, whatever, just however you let loose, basically. You can't do those things. So like, it's sort of like, how do you deal with those feelings during this time? Like, it's really difficult.
Definitely. And actually, let's talk about it, because you know, we have 2 big pandemics. Yeah. Obviously, COVID, Black people. Yeah, right, like, right now. Yeah. And you know, as we said, we're unapologetically Black in this podcast. Yeah. And so we actually have realised, and I don't know about for you, but you know, hearing things like George Floyd, I mean, well, I know for you because we speak a lot, but like that just triggered a lot of things, and that also told me, Charlene, you're not dealing with these feelings,
unresolved trauma,
this is all mental health, unresolved trauma. Literally, anytime I felt like I was even experiencing any sort of slight of injustice, especially, you know, during that period, it just triggered. 100%. I would cry, you know, I just feel really awful.
The way in which me and Charlene were crying, we literally phoned each other and we were crying, like it was deep.
It was really hard, it was painful,
and like, because this is with unresolved trauma within the Black community, is like so many things, like there's so many things that are thrown at us that we just take and we don't react to. So there's so many like little like indirect racist comments, or like just anything to do with like you being a Black person, that you're like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna, like, we move whatever, and then like when these things come out and they're so like in the forefront, like then you just break down, everything hits you at once, and you're like, where is this coming from? Then you're like, oh wait, I'm remembering this, oh wait, I'm remembering that. Like there's so many things.
Exactly. I had to literally talk to myself and be like, okay, Charlene, like, what is it? Because don't get me wrong, of course what happened, Joshua, of course, was horrible. Of course. However, this is not the first time that we've seen something as bad as this happen, right? It's just that there's a way bigger microphone to it now, like everyone was talking about it, and I honestly think there was so much talk about it because we're in the middle of a pandemic, nothing else was really happening, and so that's why, because these things happen all the time. I want you guys to understand that, and if you don't already, which I'm sure you do, that these things genuinely happen, unfortunately, all the time. So I was like, okay, like what, like why is it that like it's affecting me like this? Because really, you know, the reality of it is, you know, and not in a, I don't want to be insensitive, but my reaction wasn't the same for a Trayvon Martin or, you know, a Stephen Lawrence, right, which were equally absolutely disgusting, you know, instances which you know, that happened. And what I mean to say is that of course I was sad, I was hurt, but this was like a next level kind of like, I think my
the thing with that
was
is
like heavy.
I think the thing with that is that we, at those times, we were told like, right, we got to be strong, we got to build, we got to move, like we got to just like put things in practice. But this time, because so many things, because there has been such a big microphone on it, it's really the first time where I've been able to emotionally feel about it, because the emotions that I used to have was only anger and like, right, what do we do next, like how can we move? But now, like, it's just because we've been at home, like, because you're feeling
it's actual
things.
Hurt.
Yeah, your hurt is so, it was being so painful. And I've not, like you were saying, like, I felt for these things, but I wasn't crying at the time. I was angry, but I wasn't crying. This time now, it's like, look, we've been going through it. Black Lives Matter movement started 2015, 2016, and we're still having to do this. We're still having to have these conversations, and so much has happened in between that time anyway. And then it all just really hit me, like, it's been
then obviously it's just, and then you're seeing people, activists, like Oliver Tosin, we've mentioned her very briefly before, people like that who are being, it's really hard. So I guess the thing is that with this, it's gonna ignite a mental health crisis, for lack of a better word, in everyone. And so I guess at that stage you think about, okay, do I have the tools to deal with it? It might be that you've been through something before, so you understand how to maneuver it, or some people are just a little bit mentally stronger. That is just a fact of it. So that they might be able to do things that are positive, or channel that hurt into action, and whatever the case is, or and the case with a lot of us, we just don't really know what to do, and our mental health is in serious jeopardy, and we're really we don't know how to sort of move past the feeling. We end up being in a down or depressed mood for an extended period amount of time. I would say that from my experience and from speaking with other people, it is good to have your sad moment. You need to work through those feelings, but it's about what happens after that. Like, are you able to work through those feelings and move on and move on positively, or are you not able to? And so this is where like your mental health is really like in question.
And like this is where like therapy like comes into play as well, because especially with this sort of conversation, generally like therapists are white, and it's really hard to seek out like black therapists, and obviously that is available now, and it's becoming like more like the tools are there now, and like the information is there now because of the Black Lives Matter movement is happening. So there are like that information is out there, but before really when you'd go to therapy, like it would just be like white people that you'd be speaking to, and having an issue like this, and just being a black person in general, our experiences are different. And even though you're a therapist, yes, you're like trained to like listen to people and like give them like certain advice to guide them in correct ways, but like your feelings and your opinions are going to be completely different if you are a black therapist. So that's also really important, seeking out someone who understands your experience and will be able to give you like validation in terms of like how you're feeling. So that's also important. I personally have never been to therapy, but I would love to go to therapy, and I think it's something that regardless of if your mental health is strong or not, that everyone should really seek out. And 100%, definitely like because there's so much unresolved trauma in our lives, like whether you think it or not, like there's things that you're the way that you are because of how you've grown up, the things that you've seen, 100%. The way your parents raised you, that's why you're the way that you are. And it can either be a positive or a negative thing, and I think it's great to find that out, especially if you're planning to have kids and stuff like that. Because the thing is with like having kids, you have to make sure. That's what I mean. Like you have to make sure, because you'll end up passing on those. That's why there's so many fucked up kids, because their parents have unresolved trauma that they're putting on their kids, and their kids grow up and they're like, it's just a vicious cycle. So we really have to like take it into our own hands, and it is our responsibility essentially. Not everyone is in that mindset to like take the have that motivation to go and seek that out. Of course that's true, but I mean if you are, and
I want you guys to realize that it's okay though, because I think unfortunately, whilst we're talking about it a lot in mainstream now and mainstream media and just all over the internet and stuff like that, I want you guys to understand that there's still people that are still like no, therapy is for this type of person, therapy is that, like they think that, and it's like no, like therapy is honestly for everyone. 100%. Like you need opportunity to discuss your feelings without being interrupted, with being heard, being listened to, and that is what therapy can offer. Definitely. And I'm not taking away from your personal relationships, your friends, your family, whoever, significant other, and don't get me wrong, they should be there to listen to you as well. However, the reality of it is that they're not professionals, right? So
it's a biased view as well, though, isn't it? If you're telling your friends something, they're like, no, they'll like enable you essentially, and it's like that's not what you need to hear. I don't think
you're an enabler. I'm not gonna lie to you.
What, me?
I actually don't think you are.
But some people are, isn't it? Sometimes people want to tell you what you want to hear, innit? And that just does not help you at all.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, 100% agree.
But to relate, sort of, I guess I would like to sort of relate it to mainstream media, and actually something really I want to talk about was Euphoria.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know, Euphoria was a TV show that came on last year, and I think they're working on second season, but obviously COVID killed everything.
Yeah.
So, but it's based on this girl called Rue, who is played by Zendaya, beautiful black woman, and she basically is a recovering drug addict and obviously dealing with lots of different mental health issues. A lot of the people around her at her high school also dealing with a lot of different mental health issues. And it's I would say it's quite a dark TV show, to be honest with you.
Important.
Definitely
very important.
But very important. You know, they touch upon so many different really important issues. LGBTQIA plus community, you know, prejudice and just in general, you know,
and actually interesting what we were saying about parents, like the character Nate, his dad has gone through like whatever.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about, actually, related to what you said about passing on traits to children. Okay. So it was Nate that I wanted to focus on. So actually, yeah, talk about Nate.
So like Nate is like this very complex character. So he's basically outside, he's like the all-American, like perfect boy. He's like in the sports team, like he's really good looking, like he's got a really pretty girlfriend, really popular, whatever. He's got all the things going for him. But like he's just not a nice person. Like he's a bully. Like he treats everyone like shit. Treats his girlfriend like shit. I think he like hit her a few times, and like there was a whole thing when she went to police or whatever. But like really what he's trying to do is like keeping his dad's good books, because his dad is his dad the captain or no? Is dad the captain? I can't remember of the team.
Dad, I think he's just like, he's either like a donor or
something like that. But yeah, he's in the team.
Yeah, some role.
Yeah, he's in the team, and his dad just wants him to like just be shit hot all the time in the team. So like he just feels like a failure whenever like that's not when things not going his way, basically. And his dad just takes it out on him, like you're this, you're that, you're just like your mother, and he doesn't want to be anything like his mother. They hate his mum for some reason. I can't remember the reason is, but yeah, the dad's just gone through all sorts of shit. He like has affairs on the side. He sleeps with trans women on the side and like abuses them. Like it's just not a nice guy. And yeah, he just puts that on Nate, and which has made Nate into this really disgusting person who just does horrible things to people. And like that's the key reason why you need to sort your shit out before you have your kids.
Exactly. And exactly, because I feel like this was behaviour I believe that was passed on from his dad as well. From Nate's granddad, I guess. And I think we saw a lot of flashbacks from when Nate was a child, and like him seeing things happening around him, which obviously impacted him subconsciously when he was an adult. And these are things that we're all dealing with, you know. I'm sure there's plenty of things that I've seen, you know, around me when I was younger, and you know, quote unquote, I was from a normal family, or you know, sort of two parents that are together, you know, me and my sister. I say quote unquote because what is normal? And I think once we get out of our heads, you know, what normal is, that's also going to help our problem as well, because a lot of people have mental health issues or feel type of way because they're like, oh, you know, I've been done hard in life because of this and that. And don't get me wrong, some people really have had, you know, a hard time. Do not get me wrong, but it's like they're comparing themselves to what they see, right? But they're comparing themselves to what they've seen around them. You know, oh, you know, this person has this or that person has that, and that's half of the mental health issue. Like we're constantly comparing ourselves to what's around us. Why are we not doing this? Why are we not as good as this person? Or why does this person have this? What do they do to get this? Like we have to get our heads out of that. And in the black community, unfortunately we are notorious for this as well.
I think, you know, I think it's also like social media as well. Like social media places like Instagram, for example, is all about impressing and like, I've done this, I've done that, and especially age as well. So like when people on social media, the thing is like with age is that people are like, I'm 21, I've just bought a house, what were you doing at 21? And then that makes people feel like, oh, I'm 25, I'm 26, like I've not done that. And it's like, well, no, that's not the case, and that's just not how life works. And we're still young at this age, you know what I mean? Like mid to late 20s, you're still young, you still got like so much life experience to live.
No, 100%. And
like that's the thing, like people are just impressing, and like I think that's what we have to remember with Instagram, is that you're only showing what you want people to see, and it's just not realistic at all. And like we definitely have to stop putting ourselves against other people, because what people want us to see is not really what they're going through. So
100%. And I really rate those like influencers and people like that, YouTubers that sort of show you reality versus like Instagram. They make a point to like really show you that, so you can understand, look, like I'm not perfect either. Like they, you know, they like to be real and raw. You know, and I think that's really important. Like we have to see both sides. But I want to take it back to mainstream media again, because I want to talk about some things that are happening at the moment with Tamar Braxton.
Yeah, what's happening with her? Because I've heard, like, I've seen some headlines, but I don't actually know, like, what. I know she was suicidal or something, but yeah, explain what's happened.
She tried to commit suicide. So, or wait, I don't know if would you say try to, or I mean, she of course, praise God, she's alive. Yeah. So she tried to commit suicide. I think she was drinking and she took an excessive amount of pills.
Wow.
And she was in the bath and she was unconscious, and her boyfriend found her and then called 911. I think. Let me also just start by saying I think it's absolutely disgusting that people have released a 911 phone call.
Really? My goodness.
Yeah, it's online. And I think it's horrible. And that's another problem as well. When we're dealing with mental health crises, what we need help from professionals and our family, our friends around us. We don't need the whole world listening to, what's happening to us. And I feel like people need to understand that privacy is so important. Like, I need to be able to deal with this with myself before I'm dealing.
People are like, they're celebrities, they put their life out there anyway. No, that's not how it works. No. Yeah.
This is someone's life that was in jeopardy. What would have happened, God forbid, if this was a different conversation and she hadn't made it free? Do you understand? So it's like, I just think that people really need to think about how they're manoeuvring, because it's not okay. It's not okay at all.
Was it okay. And there's been so many situations like that too. Though? Is that why? Because I know that she's always like spoken about like how people speak about her online and like how much it affects her. I remember she was on.
No, it was about her network. So basically, this is actually something we've spoken about before. So in one of our previous episodes, go back and listen. It was the one about Ratchet TV. You spoke about a TV show called Growing Up Hip Hop, and I spoke about Dame Dash. Yeah. So that show is on the WeTV network, and they are famous for exploiting black people.
That's the most ratchet of flipping TV shows I've ever seen. Yeah. Right,
but they just explicit. Yeah. They just exploit black people straight up. On that TV network, they have Braxton Family Values. They've got all of Tamar Braxton's different reality shows. She's got like 3 of them or something. There's obviously Growing Up Hip Hop. They've got Love and Marriage. They've got Love After Lockdown, which is crazy. They've got they've got I've been watching this recently. What's it called? Marriage Boot Camp.
Oh yeah, they have the hip hop one. Yeah. Because they did the normal.
I've been watching that.
Yeah, I've heard them. Yeah.
And it's just like they're just continually exploiting black people. And so she basically felt like she was being a slave to the network. She'd apparently repeatedly asked them to let her go. She has like 4 different shows on there. And they were just like, they were literally bonding her to a contract. And so she was like, I'd rather be dead than deal with this. And so that is what happened. And I believe she did send a message to her family, I think, or maybe was about to or something like that, but she's spoken quite openly about the network and things like that. And as I said, she's not the only one. Dame Dash spoke about it as well. Like, they purposely try to get his son to deceive him. He told them, look, don't put my son in these type of situations. His son is like an addict, or what it was, an addict, and they were putting him in situations which was jeopardizing his health, and it's just crazy. So anyway, that is what happened. Thank God again, I'll say that, and I'm a Christian, so that's why I keep saying that. She's alive, so and she's actually put out a statement now, and the network have also put out a statement saying that they're gonna let her go, which is great. But I mean, at the end of the day, it shouldn't have to come to that. To the point that she's rather take her, like, it's crazy. And this is the other thing as well, we need to, like, people, if you're supposedly allies to the black community, you're not realizing that we're dealing with hundreds and hundreds of years of trauma. Like, aside from the other stuff that our parents and grandparents might have dealt with, but also dealing with the fact that we've continually been looked at as slaves for the longest amount of time, no matter what country you're in, whether you're in America, the UK, or wherever the hell you are. It's like we've literally been constantly looked at as less than. So it's like you're telling us you're allies, and that particular network makes so much money off black people, so much money off, like, that's literally so much money off of black people. And so you're hearing someone's telling you, one of the biggest people in networks telling you, look, like, I cannot work for you any longer because of this and this. You would think, given everything that's happening, that you would actually listen to her, and like you would find a way to do something, come to a compromise. It shouldn't have to come to this, but anyway, it's come to this now, and thank God she's been able to work out something. But it's serious, and this is what, and I'll leave it by saying this, that like, these are the times where people are like, rah, mental health is real. But it's just like, again, as I said, we said already, you shouldn't have to get to this. If I'm telling you I'm suffering, listen to me tell you I'm suffering. And this is half of the problem as well with, unfortunately, I would say the Black community, because I can tell you from my experience, I would say I'm suffering, and it's like no one's really listening to me.
Why didn't you just go and read a book? Why didn't you just go and it's like, what?
Right.
What do you mean?
Like how is that going to help me? Like I don't feel good right now, and I don't really know why. You know, it needs more investigation. Exactly. Like if someone says that to you, that needs more investigation. Or if someone is acting not like themselves, that also needs more investigation. Definitely. Because that is real. Definitely. You know. And I don't want to talk about Kanye too much, but Kanye is just another great example of that too. You know, and but something that I did want to just move on to as well is Insecure. So we've spoken about Insecure before on the pod, but I don't think we in this not in this way in this topic before. Right. So obviously we have Nate, and I don't know if you want to talk about Nate a bit. Is his name Nate? Yeah, his name is Nate. Played by Kendrick Sampson, but basically
you can go into it.
Yeah, basically he was just I guess he started dating Issa. They met in quite a fun way actually in her lift. and he, I guess they were trying to date, and he, I guess, would go missing every so often, and she didn't really know why. And that's basically the story. And it turns out that he actually was dealing with some quite complex mental health issues, in that he had bipolar, and so he went home to like try and sort that out. And I feel like this was a really important storyline for us to see, really, on mainstream media, on TV, because bipolar disorder is something that happens to. It's quite a high statistic actually. Is it 1 in 5? I'm not sure. It's something like that. But I'll look it up. But it's a lot. It's a very high statistic of people who actually experience some form of bipolar disorder, and it's really not common to speak about. Someone's mood will just switch up like that, and it's not the chemical imbalance is really varied and really high, and it was a really hard storyline, but I think they told it in a really good way. But what do you think about that? What do you think about that storyline? I feel like it was a really good way to communicate what is happening to us as well. I think it's good, and I think it was good because of how receptive Issa was about it, because like I feel like if this was maybe like, I don't know, 10 years ago, it would have been like a whole thing like, that's not an excuse, da da da, and it's like, no, he was like met with a lot of love and patience about it, and it also explained a lot of things as well. So like I think the thing is, what we have to remember with people, like I think you said this before, when people are acting different, like there can be a number of reasons. It's not just because they're being off with you, it's not just because they're like pissed off or something. Like there can be so many complex issues, and if they're your friend and you care about them, you have to look into why they're acting like this, because it's not always a simple solution, and I think that's sort of what this showed, because I've personally had friends who are like going through stuff and we're like, what's going on, like why are you all of a sudden acting this way, and like you just can't like explain, they can't explain it, you can't understand it, but then really all along it was like mental health issues. And you're like, okay, right, now it all makes sense. And I think like that's one thing that I've personally had to learn to do, that is be like a lot more patient with people, and also with myself, just to give people more forgiveness, and give them more like freedom to just, your friends fuck up, and like especially when they're going through mental health, you have to give them the freedom to like come to you and like give them the freedom to be like, right, they need their space, like I'll give them that. I'm not going to hold it against them if they haven't spoken to me for like a month or something, like obviously they're going through something. So I think it's just giving people that sort of space and acceptance. Definitely. And I feel like Issa did handle it really well. I agree. I just sort of found some statistics, so I was definitely wrong. However, I will say that 10 million Americans deal with bipolar disorder, and of that 10 million, 83% of them are like severe, so like probably need medication to help them on a daily basis and things like that. And it's about 50-50 for men to women, so that's in America anyway. What I will say is, me personally, I've actually worked with someone who has bipolar disorder, and it was really crazy, I'll be honest with you. I think that his was slightly more severe. I was doing a job where the basis of the job was really just to talk to people, like we had to talk to people and inform people on things. I'll leave it like that. It's a bit ambiguous, you know. And it was really hard, you know. He basically couldn't come to work half the time because he just couldn't mentally do it. He couldn't. And the thing is though, is that, you know, you know, we're not doctors, as I said already, but, you know, my understanding is that certain medication can make you feel like just not feel at all. And so it's really hard. It's really hard for those people. It suppresses
your personality, isn't it? Because I know like some people who are like schizophrenic and like on medication, and I think it does like suppress like your personality, and like you're not really like fully yourself and stuff like that. And I think that's why a lot of people don't want to take medication, because it does like numb. Because do you remember was it Kerry Katona when she was on TV and she'd taken her bipolar meds and she was slurring,
and she was really
and it's this thing, and everyone's like, she's on drugs, she's doing this, she's doing that, and it's like, well, no, if there was actually more like education about like what these medication actually does to people, you'd know that actually no, she's just taking her medication and it's causing her to slur, which is like, and that was pretty sad for it to be so like public as well. It's just not nice.
It was really sad, I think,
and that would put you off taking the meds. You'd be like, well, if that's how it's going to make me, if that's what people think me, I don't want to take my medication, and then that's just a whole other thing now. So yeah, but
yeah, no, it's really hard. Yeah, sorry,
I was going to say, but speaking of like other celebrities you've gone through, I think like a big one was obviously Britney Spears in 2007 was it? So I'm sure everyone knows, but I'll explain anyway. So like in 2007, like it was said that Britney was sort of sick of like management and stuff, and she wanted more control of her life. And was she in the conservatorship at this time? I'm not really sure. No, actually it started after this, but yeah, so she was like,
how do you say it? Conservatorship,
I think it's that. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, she was like sick of the industry, and she was like, do you know, I want control of my life. So she went and she shaved her head, and then like she was sort of like, you know, just not really what the Britney that we knew, and then like she did the Gimme More performance at the VMAs, and then that was just like a shambles at the time, and everyone was like, what's going on, and like it was a whole like a big like joke thing like at the time. And then like Chris Crocker came out, was like, leave Britney alone, and he was making facts. Like at the time I thought it was like funny and like, what is he talking about? But looking back now, it's like, it's true, like leave her alone, she's going through all this shit, and we're only adding to it by like making jokes out of it and not taking like what she's going through seriously. And so on the tail end of that came her conservatorship. I hope that's how it said, conservatorship.
Yeah.
And conservatorship.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm really bad at pronouncing things. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's all good.
But yeah, basically what that is her dad is her conservatorship or conservatorship, whatever the fuck, which is basically a guardian or protector that is appointed by a judge to manage the financial affairs and or daily life of another due to physical or mental limitations or age. So basically that's what she was put under when all of that had happened. So Britney Spears has had literally no control of her life since 2007, 2008, whenever this came into effect. And she's a big woman, like she's got kids. She doesn't have a say on like how she can like,
she'll be almost 40.
Yeah, she can't use social media without limitations. She can't she doesn't have any access to her money. She doesn't have control of what happens to her kids. Like it's really fucked up. And all because a woman like dare to like maybe like go a little bit off kilter, that this has happened. Like that's just not the way you deal with things. Like I'm sure if she'd got the help that was needed, especially because she came into the industry so young, and that's another thing as well, like kids, she was a kid when she came into the industry. Of course, like you're going to be a little bit like, you know, not all there at some point in your life, and we've seen that with so many people. Lindsay Lohan, like every kid who's been in this industry, like they get fucked. But yeah, like if that help was there, if she got the proper support, then like she wouldn't be under this right now. And that's why the whole Free Britney campaign is going on now, because she should really have control of her life. And yeah, apparently she's been like forced to like go on like medication and stuff. Like I don't know like what the real facts are, but this is just what people are saying. But yeah, it's just been, she has no control of her life, and I think that's just really horrible and sad. So
it's really sad, and I think that's another point we want to talk about: mental health, people taking advantage. You know, I think that obviously at the stage where this is put into place, I guess maybe people were concerned that she was unable to look after herself, but
which maybe was the case, and you do that for a couple of years, but you don't need to be doing it for this time.
It's been 13 years or however long. It's absolutely crazy. And I think that's the thing, like where there's still not clarity on maybe therapeutic services and things, you know, to help and actually, you know, make people feel better. Because I mean, from my understanding, you know, Brittany is in much better health, you know, so you know, where there's that information is not available, it's like, okay, people I think people are just acting like, okay, once you've deemed yourself as mentally unstable, or you have a mental health crisis, then that's it
for life.
And that's not okay.
And
that is and this is what we need to change. We need to change the stigma and the thinking behind that, because that is not the case. People can improve,
have
people can get better.
functioning lives. Like, you can function 100%. On mental, and that's the thing. Like, most people who do function on most of us do that. Like, we have to go to work. We know that we have to pay the bills and stuff. Like, people do function on mental illness. So
literally,
it's really sad, and I really hope that something is done about that. I know there's so many campaigns, and like, I think there's discussion of like court and stuff like that, but I hope it does get sorted out fair, because that's just fucked.
And I think actually, to sort of, I guess, bring a bit more positivity to it in a sense, I think that now with all the information that's around, I'm not saying it's perfect, I'm not saying that we are where we need to be, but I think that maybe Brittany's situation might have been handled differently had it happened today.
100%.
I think that, you know, people are a lot more outspoken, there's a lot more, you know, there's a lot more opinion with social media, and social media actually have a lot more, you know, pull than they did before, and so I just think that I think we are making moves to improve, you know, how we maneuver and how we deal with these things.
Do you think that it might be like sexism as well, though? Because I know, like, back then they used to call things hysteria when a woman acted a certain way, and then you'd get put in like a mental institute and stuff like that. Because I'm just thinking now back to, like, do you remember what happened to Kalani when she was accused of, like, apparently like cheating on, who was it that she was with? I can't even remember.
It was Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, so
it was a basketball player.
Yeah, so all of that, and then people like abusing her, and she tried to commit suicide.
And
I feel like, is it sexism as well? Because that doesn't really happen to like men, especially in that sort of situation. Like, I feel like it's that as well, because like whenever women are like they feel a certain way, like we're being accused of like, oh, you're being dramatic, you're doing this, you're doing that. Like, I think there is like it's a matter of gender attached to this whole thing as well, with Britney Spears especially. So that's a whole other conversation, but I'm just thinking out loud, really.
I mean that could be the case. I think regardless of whether it is sexism or not, I think we just all need to do better, definitely. With being supportive, but also as well identifying things that we might need to do. Like, I can speak for myself. I've definitely identified areas and, you know, sought help and things like that when I've needed to, or if I think I need to. Or I know for me personally, I'm quite self-reflective. I also have a few people that I do feel like can give good advice, and also have given good advice previously. So I do look to have just a few people that I feel like, you know, I can actually have a conversation with, and 100%. You know, try to understand myself. You know, I think it's important that if you do have that, you know, available, you know, if you feel like you've got good friends or family, whoever it is, that you can look to for that kind of advice, then definitely go for that as well. Because we don't have all the answers. Like, we're just human beings, and at the end of the day, it takes all of us to make up this world. So how can only my thoughts be important? No, everyone's thoughts are important, you know.
End it on a positive note, though, like, what do you do to sort of get yourself out of, like, if you're in a funk or anything, or if you're feeling down, like, what things do you find helpful to sort of take you out of that headspace?
So first thing is, I would say that my mental health has been quite interesting in that I feel like I've discovered a lot, you know, from being more aware and just reading more and things like that. So I think whilst before I would just be like, oh my god, like, I'm sad, like now I'm like, okay, do you know what, this might be, like, everyone goes through depression, this might be the start of a depression, or, you know, I think I've got anxiety, and, you know, that's due to, you know, having to be in certain situations and just feeling very, very uneasy, my chest getting really, really tight. Sorry guys, we had a bit of a technical difficulty. Again. I apologise, but listen, we're all so we've got to go. But sorry, so you were saying what do I do?
So go back to questions like, what do you do when you're feeling low? Like, how do you get yourself out of, like, feeling like getting out of the funk? Do you feel it coming on? Because I feel like, personally, I feel it coming on as well. So no, definitely. And the thing is that the people think it's just like at the time of the month, right? But it's actually way more than that. Like we like to say it's at the time. And don't get me wrong, you know, hormones definitely can affect it
massively, your mental health massively, but trust me, it's way more than that. But yeah, I feel like for me the first thing was just to identify, you know, what I'm going through, because I think before I'd be like, oh, like I'm feeling down, but I just don't understand why, or, you know, go through little bouts of depression or whatever, and, you know, just didn't really understand it. And also I think I got like, you know, mild to sort of quite bad anxiety, and that's due to having that, like, my chest going tight in certain situations, and just my reaction to certain situations. So a few things that I do or did. One, I came off social media.
Boy, that's a great one.
That was a really big one for me. Like, I had Instagram, I had Twitter, I had Snapchat. Don't have any of them anymore. We have the Instagram page, of course, for Alt London. Please go and follow. However, yeah, I don't have a personal Instagram account, and I feel like as well, like Afia knows, because we talk about it, of course. Like, at one point, I was posting a lot on the Instagram, and I like dialed back that anyway, as in on the Alt London Instagram account, because I just feel like I was spending too much time, and I was starting to feel a bit uncomfortable again. So that was one of the biggest things for me, and the reason why is because unfortunately I think I've got a thing where I like to compare myself to other people, and that's something I've had to work through as well,
because it gets obsessive on there. Like, social media, you get so obsessive.
Proper. I have an addictive personality anyway, so it's
You're
already
a musician,
bad,
that's what it is, isn't it? Yeah.
bad time, right, for real. So, you know, I think I identified, okay, I'm comparing myself, and it could be little things like, oh my god, mainly it's like when people are like doing things that I want to do. That's I'm just being real. Like, when people are accomplishing in things I want to do, I'm supportive. I'm like, yes, but at the same time I'm like, oh my god, like, it makes me feel so sad, because like, okay, how have I not been able to get here? And so that's something I've had to work through, and appreciate, you know, the position that I'm in, and realize, you know, what I'm doing and what that's amazing and good, and but also understanding that, you know, it's nothing wrong with developing and progressing.
Definitely.
So, but looking at that as more of a positive thing.
100%. And also, like, everyone's time is different, isn't it? So, like, that's one thing. 100%. Your journey is not the same as someone else's. But yeah, like, me personally, I can always feel it coming on. I think I only really started going through mental health, or knew like what it really was, coming out of university. I think I was definitely like depressed during my first year at university. Like, I didn't really like, I had like a big group of friends, and I was like really confident. Like, when you have like a lot of friends, you have a confidence that you feel like you'll be able to maintain once you go to somewhere else. But obviously uni is a whole different thing. And like, people are different, and I just didn't have that confidence. I just felt so lost. I'm like, I don't know, all these sort of people are not people that I'd associate with, or like, there's just all so different. So yeah, first year at uni was really difficult. I didn't really like speak to that many people. I spoke to a couple of girls, but yeah, it was a really difficult year for me. I was going home like every weekend, considering I was going to uni in Brighton, but yeah, I was going home to London every weekend. Yeah, it was shit. But yeah, made friends, and then yeah, it was fine. But yeah, coming out of university, like, I think it was a whole thing of like comparing yourself to other people. It was very much like, right, I finished uni, like, now, like, what's next? Like, I'm working. Now what? Is that? Oh, it's horrible. I'm working in retail. Like, I've just got a degree. Why am I working in retail? Like, I've got so many friends who are now in the industry. I've got friends who are in bands, like, they're getting signed, like, they're doing this, they're doing that. Like, why the fuck is this not happening for me? I just feel like such a waster. And then I do like that's where I think that's probably when I started smoking weed fucking loads. So like, yeah, so when you're depressed, then you're smoking weed, it just doesn't help. So yeah, I would smoke a lot of weed, and then like just be in my feelings the whole time, just feeling shit, not doing anything with my life, and just feeling really shit. But yeah, moving back home, I realized, oh, actually that's what I was going through. I didn't realize at the time, but yeah, that was what I was going through, was depression. And like, coming out of that and sort of really having to try and motivate myself to do what I love to do, that has helped me not get into that sort of mindset again. And I can definitely feel it coming along when I've not been working out, when I've not been like playing music, when I've just been neglecting myself. That's when the depression episode is gonna come along. So I really have to try my hardest to prevent that. So like, yeah, writing music definitely is something that helps express how I'm feeling. That's probably been like my savior, and that sounds corny to say, but like, yeah, music saves my life. I
don't think it sounds corny at all.
Like, no, like, genuinely it saves.
It's like, as a creative, we look at our art is our serenity,
definitely,
and that could offer release. I was going to say actually that a big one as well was working out. I just want to talk about the benefits of that. Like, so like, genuinely, people used to tell me, oh, like, work out, you'll feel better. It's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm not trying to be tired. Like, this is long, but genuinely. I can tell you that, well, yeah, like, I've seen the positives. Like, I've really benefited from the positive. Like, I'll come out the gym feeling amazing.
Exactly. And
even though I'm so tired, I can't walk.
And it's such a struggle to get in the gym because you're like, oh fuck's sake, I've just come from work, struggle. I'm tired, like I can't be far.
Exactly.
And it's like I can't do this workout. You get in there, you're like, right, mind over matter. That's how I have to like put myself in the gym. You go out, bang out a session, you come out and you're like, I'm on top of the world. You feel sick, like it's so worth it. So yeah, working out is definitely
I'm trying to become more consistent with that, but definitely seen the difference, and I think it really helps as well, you know, take out frustrations when annoying things happen at work or again in your personal life or whatever the case is. Going to the gym can just be like a little,
I think it like, zones you out as well. Like I don't
proper.
When I'm working out, I don't think about anything but getting this fucking workout done. So I'm like,
I'm just like, oh my god, how many more minutes left?
Yeah I'm like, right, bang on the set, done. Yeah, you don't think about anything else, so it's good. But yeah, thank you. Thanks guys for listening. I think that like sort of wraps up our mental health episode nicely, and there is like so much to discuss with this situation, and I'm sure like hopefully you guys can like relate to what we've spoken about.
Definitely.
Or if
something I want to signpost as well.
Go for it.
We the Urban, the page on Instagram.
Nice.
We the Urban, I believe it's a black owned, like it's like a magazine as well, like an e-magazine, but they have just amazing just like affirmations, like positive affirmations, and also just make sense. Like they'll be like, you know, 5 things that people with so and so feel, and it's like, okay, like I'm not the only one, because I feel like often when you're dealing with mental health, sometimes you feel like you're alone, right? Well, not sometimes you do, a lot of times. So it's really good to have somewhere that you can refer to and have a look at and think, oh my god, like this like is what I'm going through. Like how did someone like sum this up? Like I thought I was by myself when actually you weren't. So We the Urban page on Instagram, definitely have a look at that.
That's great. Thank you for signposting that. I think I'm hoping that helps people. But yeah guys, I hope this conversation has helped you, and like hopefully it's made you not feel alone, like that we're having this conversation, and that, you know, we feel you, like we've definitely been through those experiences, and like, you know, there's a lot of conversations to be had. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you. Have a lovely week. Let's stay positive. Show us some love on Instagram. Thank you so much for the love. We're now over 500 listens, so thank you so much.
Nice.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.